Hello everybody, Charlie Cummins again here. I teach men and women how to lay brick, block, and stone right here in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona, Phoenix Masonry Training Center. We had a lot of requests for more information about a video we did here a while back, and so today I'm going to talk about how we can build low-cost housing made of block walls, which are going to save lives and destruction from hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, and fires. It's called block prefab masonry reinforced panels. Now, if you're a non-believer or you're from the show me state and everything else, I want to ask you to Google and go to Nylo Hotels, that's NYLO Hotels.com, and you'll see these 4-story hotels. The brick walls are double brick walls. They were built in Kansas and trucked piece by piece to Dallas, Texas, and also to Warwick, Rhode Island. So if you can build a 4-story hotel, very complicated walls with windows in them and all this kind of stuff, in Kansas, and ship them all those different locations, then you can certainly build block panels for houses. Okay? As I said, we train men and women to lay brick, block, and stone. And the only way you can teach them is they got to build a wall, block wall, tear it down, build it, tear it down, build it, tear it down, over and over and over. It makes me sick. Beautiful workmanship. So what we're going to do, instead of tear them down, we want to get to the point where we can sell them. Okay? A little bit, so people will understand this and everything else. I know a good bit about prefab, reinforced, post-tension masonry panels. I've been to several plants. I see what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong and all this kind of stuff. So I got a pretty good handle on how to do what I'm wanting to do if I get anybody interested in it. Now, I contracted in Alaska from 75 to 95. And in my opinion, one of the best general contractors in the entire world, called Hoffman, Hoffman, Hoffman Construction. They're out of Seattle and Oregon. Great bunch of people and everything else. And I did a bunch of jobs for them up in Alaska. And I got to know one of their biggest stockholders, who was one of their main superintendents. Got to know him pretty good. He came to our training center in Anchorage. I started this school in teaching people how to lay brick, block, and stone in Alaska. Well, he came to our training center, this big shot with Hoffman Construction. You know, and the first thing he said was, "Gee, Charlie, those walls look as good as the walls that you built on our school or our whatever project was. You know, how come you're tearing it down? You got to figure out how to sell those things. You know, building and tearing them down. Those walls are beautiful, you know." And I said, "Yeah, well, why don't you help me do it? Let's see what we can do." Well, a few years later, everything else, I'm in Houston, Texas, and they called me. This head superintendent called. He said, "Charlie," said, "listen, we're bidding a prison in California." And it was a design build, okay? They wanted to build it out of block. Well, all their research experts and project managers and all that said that if they built it out of block, they were going to need 200 block layers for a year. And their market research also told them that if they advertised for the entire world, they couldn't get 200 block layers to come to this place where they're going to build this prison in California. So he thought of me, because, you know, he knows, they know about prefab masonry panels. And quite honestly, a prison would be very easy to prefab in a block prefab masonry panel plant, because you got a lot of walls that are the same size, and it's just like sticking dominoes or Legos together or whatever. So they called and wanted to know. I was in Houston, and they wanted to, wanted me to kind of check into it, give it some thought. Well, I told them at the time I've got a full load right now, but we'll see. We were just getting started in Houston. So, out of curiosity, I got to thinking. I said, well, they said they needed 200 bricklayers for a year and all this. So I estimated that prison probably had 3 million block in it. That's 8/16-inch block. Solid grout, a lot of rebar, etc., and all that. So what I did is I called up 2 railroad companies. I think Union Pacific and Katy Railroad or something. I don't remember the railroad deal. And I asked them to give me a price for 163,000 tons of CMU masonry block, solid grout, and all that kind of stuff. That's a whole lot of tons of block to put on a train and ship them to Seattle. I told them I wanted a price from Houston to Seattle, because I didn't know where in California they were building this prison. I forgot to ask them. I just knew it was somewhere in California. What surprised me was whenever they came up with the cost of the freight, I was also checking on the cost of the material. Price versus price of material in Houston, Texas versus Seattle, Washington. And what surprised me was just the cost of the grout. That's just concrete that you put in the holes in the block. And it was just the cost of the grout alone, the savings of the cost of grout, more than would pay for the total cost of the freight to ship 3 million block from Houston to Seattle. Now, if you want to consider the cost of mortar, not to mention labor and everything else, this is very feasible. Okay. Well, they didn't get the job, and I come to find out later it was the prison was in Blythe, California, and everything else. So the bottom line is, if you can build a prison in Houston, Texas, walls, and ship them all the way to Seattle or anywhere you want to ship them to, and save money, not to mention the speed that you could complete these buildings in so much faster and everything else, then you got a winner. So to do these houses and everything else, we could easily put together enough trainees to where we're building 20, 30 houses a day if they were designed right. So if this has sparked your interest, and if you've got more questions and everything else, I'm trying to answer the questions as they come in. But what a waste. Just think what a waste we do by building walls and tearing them down, build them and tear them down, build them and tear them down. It makes me sick to see these beautiful block and brick walls that our trainees are building, and we tear them down and do it again. Why don't we try to help Mother Nature, the green issue and all this? Let's stop cutting all these trees down. Let's build with Mother Earth, brick, block. What's his name? Who is it? Leah? The guy, not Bozo, but well, I can't think of his name. He's building all the tunnels in California and different places. You know, he came up with saying that if he could just take all the clay and make brick out of them, that would, and sold the brick for 10 cents a piece. That's $100 a thousand. Brick hadn't been that cheap in 70 years. Okay, the clay would more than pay for the whole total cost of building the tunnels that he's building. So we might could help him out by buying a bunch of brick or whatever. So Leon Musk, I think that's his name. Leon Musk. So anybody got any questions, get back with me and let's see if we can together save lives. That's the bottom line. Save lives. A block is stronger than 2x4s and plywood, chicken wire with plaster smeared on it. Okay? So let's build with block. Let's build some houses. Let's save some lives. Now, for what it's worth, let me go ahead and tell you that we start students every day. You move at your own pace. If you came 30 hours a week, it takes you 10 weeks to finish our course. If you came 50 hours a week, you could do it in a month and a half. When you finish our course, you can lay 150 brick in 1 hour. You can lay 50 8/8 16 block, 8-inch block in 1 hour. You can build all your leads, corner leads and everything out of brick and block using a 4-foot level. Finally, you can build a 2-foot square brick chimney or pier out of brick and block, and you can lay 100 modular brick in 2 hours or less. And you can lay 24 8-inch block in the same column and lay 24 block in an hour and a half. When you can do that, you can demand top pay anywhere in the world, and you got to trade for life. Now, if you can't come to Phoenix, we're working on putting a course together where you can take a bunch of it in the comfort of your own home and then just come to Phoenix for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and finish the course. So stay in touch with us on that, because we're getting real close to putting that together. We also have financing for everybody, and ask me about our guarantee. So that concludes it. Hit the subscribe button and all that kind of stuff. Give a call, text, or anything, and I'll give you a free book that we have called The Secret of Squaring Up Buildings. I've sold that book for 20 years for $20 to $50. I'm going to give it to you free. All you got to do is ask and you shall receive. So this concludes this episode. Look forward to your questions. Keep the questions coming, okay? And we're able to put everything together here. Oh, and I'm also talking to investors and contractors about opening up some training centers in the United States here. So we may have one going soon that's closer to you, and you wouldn't have to come all the way to Phoenix. So that's it for the day, folks. Take care. Have a great day.